You made a mistake. Maybe small, maybe serious. But the real problem isn't what you did. It's what happens next. Because in that moment, your life isn't decided by the mistake. It's decided by your reaction. Picture this. You did something wrong. Something you wish you could undo. At first, it's just in your head. But then someone finds out. And they say it. I'll tell your father. And suddenly, everything changes. Your chest tightens. Your thoughts start racing. Your mind jumps straight to the worst possible outcome. Punishment, embarrassment, loss of respect. And now, you're not thinking anymore. You're reacting. And this is where things go wrong. Not because of the mistake, but because of panic. Because when fear hits, your brain shifts into survival mode. Psychologists call this the fight or flight response. Your heart rate increases. Stress hormones rise. And most importantly, your logical thinking shuts down. Studies show that under high stress, decision-making ability can drop significantly. Which means, in that moment, you're not thinking clearly. You're just trying to escape. So the real question is, what do people do wrong right after a mistake? Let me show you the 5 things you should never do. Because avoiding these can completely change your life. First, don't panic. And this is where most people lose control. Because panic makes you weak. Not physically, mentally. When you panic, you stop thinking long-term. You only want one thing: immediate relief. So you make fast decisions, emotional decisions. And those decisions, they usually make things worse. Second, don't hide blindly. It feels safe. It feels like protection. But it isn't. Because the moment you hide out of fear, you give control to someone else. Now they know something you're afraid of. And fear is power. Third, don't trust random people. And this one is dangerous. Because when you're scared, you look for someone to save you. So you start opening up without thinking. But not everyone wants to help you. Some people want information. Some people want control. And in a vulnerable state, you can't always tell the difference. Fourth, don't overthink the worst-case scenario. Because your mind will exaggerate everything. It will create stories that feel real, but aren't. You'll imagine outcomes far worse than reality. And the more you think about them, the more fear grows. It becomes a loop. And the longer you stay in it, the harder it becomes to think clearly. And finally, don't repeat the mistake. Because 1 mistake is human. 2 is a pattern. 3 is a choice. The only real failure is not learning. Now here's what most people never do, but should. Pause. Just for a moment. Not hours. Not days. Just enough to stop the emotional reaction. Because even a few seconds of awareness can bring your brain out of panic mode. Then, accept it. Yes, you made a mistake. But denying it, or running from it, only makes it bigger. Acceptance isn't weakness. It's clarity. Then think. Not emotionally. Logically. Ask yourself, what's the real consequence? What's actually likely to happen? Not what fear is telling you, but what reality suggests. Then, talk to one person you trust. Not everyone. Just one. Someone stable. Someone safe. Because the moment you speak the truth, it loses its power. What felt overwhelming in your head becomes manageable in reality. And finally, fix it early. Because problems grow in silence. But they shrink when faced. Even if it's uncomfortable, even if it's difficult, facing it early gives you control back. Because here's the truth most people learn too late. Your mistake is rarely what destroys you. It's the fear after it, the panic, the bad decisions, the silence, the wrong trust. That's what creates damage. You are not your mistake. But if you react with fear, you give that mistake power over your life. So next time something goes wrong, and your mind starts racing, pause, just for a second, and remember this. You don't need to escape the situation. You need to face it with clarity. Because in the end, it's not about being perfect. It's about being aware. And once you understand your mind, you stop being controlled by it. This is hidden layer, where you understand your mind before it controls you. If this resonated with you, this channel explores the psychology behind the parts of yourself you have always felt but could not always explain. Subscribe if you want more videos like this. And if someone came to mind while you were listening, share this with them. Sometimes the most comforting thing is realizing you were never the only one.